I let myself go as, like, if I want, to be really honest with myself about exactly what I want from people.
Yep.
Like, if I had my ideal situation,
mm-hmm.
how people would act towards me, like,
yep.
How, like, for me, how women would act towards me,
yep.
Like, how I'd really, really like them to.
Yep.
That, like, a good way to see what my true condition
yep.
is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting that you didn't ask the question how you act towards others in your ideal situation.
Mm.
Which is actually what determines your condition the most. Not how other people act towards you, but how you act towards others.
Mm.
You see, for the majority of us, we're just saying, like, I can see my own condition by what I demand from you. That is true.
Mm.
But actually, I also need to ask, what am I willing to give you?
Mm.
You see, what I'm willing to give you determines my condition to a great degree, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. So if I'm not willing to give you even what I am demanding in return, that's not very ethical. Yep. But also, if I'm not willing to give you what I would like to receive in return, that's unethical too, right? So I think the more important question is, what am I willing to give others? See, in your situation with women, let's say, you got I want these things from women, but very rarely do you ask yourself, what are you wanting to give to women? What is it you desire to give to women, even if none of them give anything to you? What are you going to give to them?
At the moment.
At the moment, yeah, that's the feeling you have. Nothing. I don't want to give anything unless I'm going to get something back. And if most of us consider our relationships, that's how we feel. If I don't get something back from this person, I'm not going to give them anything, right? There needs to be, most of us feel there needs to be some quid pro quo, right? Some kind of return, some kind of, like, if I'm willing to, create a house for Mary, she's got to be willing to give me some sex and, and clean it and prep my meals for me and do a whole heap of other things, right? That's what the average person thinks. And this is how roles develop in a family. Like, I'm willing to do that thing, she needs to be willing to do this thing. And if I am willing to accept this role, she needs to be willing to accept that role. And then I'm getting something in return for what I do. And then I feel, oh, this is a real lovely relationship. And I'm going, no, this is not a relationship at all. This is a bartering system. It's not a relationship. A relationship is where I'm willing to give everything I want to give, and I don't need anything at all from my partner, at all, even love, even respect, even honor, nothing. I'm willing to give of myself everything, right, while at the same time receive nothing.
That sounds terrible.
Right. Now, of course, there will be loving guidelines of that, won't there? So in other words, I'm not going to keep giving to somebody who's thankless. Does that make sense? But I can still have the feelings of wanting to, but realize actually it's not right to if the person's thankless. But as soon as I have the feelings of resentment that says, I don't want to effing give you anything now, which is what most of us develop over time, right? Now I'm way out of harmony with love myself, right? Yeah, and I've got all this build up of rage and resentment occurring in myself after that. And now, can you see, I'm only going to do something for somebody else if they do something for me. And a lot of times they need to do it for me first, before I'll do it for them. Isn't that true? For the majority of us, that's how we actually are if we're truthful about it. Now, that's not a loving place. And it's not, but if you pass into the spirit world in that place, imagine what that's going to be like. You're going to be wanting everybody else to do something, but you're unwilling to do anything. Yeah. And where will my place of location be? Probably under those circumstances. It's well in the hells, isn't it? Solid in the hells, because I'm not loving. I'm not willing to risk anything of myself to give to another. And love wants to give gifts to others. And if I don't, in my heart, want to, then I don't love. And I can think I love. I think I'm kind and nice. But if I don't, in my heart, want to give something to you, I'm not kind or nice.
So, like, I couldn't even do it at the moment without figuring out why I don't want to.
That's right. You got to obviously, but you can see the first thing you need to do is come face to face with this is how I am. You can't would I give things to other people even if I receive nothing in return? Would I do that? You've got to be honest with yourself about that. Or am I, and a lot of people think they do, but they're actually receiving some addictions in return. Do you understand? Like, you see this a lot with volunteers. They volunteer, they're giving their time, but the addiction they get is praise. They get that addiction met. Now, that's one thing that in the God's Way organisation we're trying to not do, to give what I would classify as constant unnecessary praise. Does that make sense? It's okay to say one time, that's a great job, thank you very much, but to actually do it over and over again, aren't you fantastic, you're doing this great job, and geeing you up every time you visit. And every Saturday we have this session out the front where Mary gets out, oh, I'm so glad all of you are here, it's so wonderful you've all come, you are all so important people to us. And can you see what she would be doing there is feeding a whole heap of addictions.
That's what I want.
Yeah, that's right, that's what the average person wants, to get a whole heap of addictions fed before they do something good. You understand? Now, from God's perspective, if that's why you're doing something good, it's like you never did something good. Right? The good thing has to be motivated from your feelings, independent of what you're given. Now, in God's way, we've got to create, or we're trying to create, the same atmosphere as what would be in the spirit world as to what you would experience. So in the spirit world, you're not going to have a cheer team come to you when you're in the hell saying, come on, yeah, you can get out of this place. It's so,
it's not really that bad.
It's not going to be like that.
All right.
Unless you have a desire that says, I want to get out of this place, and then 50 people will come to you to help you. Do you understand? But it will have to be a real pure desire to get out of the place, not something you've had to be, like encouraged to do, prompted to do. Yeah? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Jade?
Thank you.
Yeah.